I was strict instruction I can't start until officially 8 o'clock per Tom. He said there's been people complaining, so I got to wait till the clock says Bob. 8:08. Hey. Good evening, everyone. It's Thursday night. Feeling much better than I did earlier in the week. Adriana, Joel, good seeing everyone. Good to have you. It's going to be a good night. Tom is, hey, Brian. Tom is out performing tonight at a comedy club in Louisville. I'm sure he's been plugging it all day long, but hopefully Carrie will put that in the chat comments. He's performing tonight, tomorrow, and Saturday night. I'm actually, yes, Joel, I got a special surprise for you per Tom, but I'm going to try and get down to his show Saturday evening, provided he gives me some tickets, so we'll see. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Sober Talk. I'm Jeff Graham, and you are here because you want to get sober, you need to get sober, or perhaps you're just sober curious. Whatever the reason is, we're glad you're here. How do you know if you have a drug or alcohol problem? Simple, if it causes problems. I've quit, restarted, rinse, spin, repeat so many times. Too many to count, but hopefully this is the last one. So that's one of the reasons I'm doing the show and relying on everyone here. So I am Jeff Graham, coming to you from the Coal Room. Wanted to just new little disclaimer real quick. Sober Talk is a sobriety support group. We're not doctors or trained medical people. We're just schleps, just trying to keep ourselves sober. Quitting alcohol can be extremely dangerous. If stopping is something you're ready to do, strongly suggest you seek medical assistance and or the help of a recovery facility. Hopefully going to be on tomorrow night with James talking about what goes on with that. So I'm looking forward to hopefully having him on for the hour tomorrow. I went through withdrawal. I went through a rehab facility. It makes the process of withdrawal safe, much more comfortable. Detoxing at home can be extremely dangerous, so please make sure you seek professional help. So like I mentioned, Tom is working at the comedy club tonight, paying bills. I wanted to pass some good news on from him. The credit card, the gas card did work last night, Tom. I wanted to thank you. I had some popcorn stuck in my teeth on the way home, and that was driving me nuts, and that thing wedged in just perfectly and freed the kernel. So that card is finally been put to good use. And Carrie called me today wondering what the heck was going on, that our phones were the switchboard was lighting up all day. So Tom insisted, if you were on the show last night, you'll know where I'm going, but he insisted that we we add an official sandwich to the show. So tonight, I am proud to offer 2 halves of the Fluffernutter sandwich, the official sandwich of Sober Talk Live. So we have the peanut butter on white bread, the marshmallow fluff. That's how it's done. I should be able to talk in about 5 minutes. It's delicious, but the official sandwich of Sober Talk Live. So thank you very much. I'll finish that one later. We are going to we're going to have a couple of guests tonight. The topic I do want to kind of go into after we hear from our first one, I kind of want to lead into. I got a call from a friend going through some family issues at home, and person got a good deal of sobriety under his belt and was just at his wit's end today. We talked for a good while, and I think we got through things, but I want to go. I want to discuss with some guests how they suggest or how they handle when those things come up. One of the things I brought up was basically I made this person role play with me and say if I was ready to say F it and start consuming, what would they say to me? And I said, actually, let's role play it out so you can actually hear yourself saying to me what you probably need to be saying to yourself. And it seemed to help. It wasn't something that it scares me to death being in those situations, because I know that when I've had the efforts, I don't want to talk. I don't want to call people. I don't want them to call me. I want to check out. And that scares me, even though I have a toolbox of resources to go through. Yeah, Brian, play the tape all the way through. Those are some of the things. I still have to make sure I do those things, because if I can have all the tools, but I don't want to open the bag, that's what scares me. So we're gonna hit on that one, but I got someone I'm really excited about bringing onto the show. Carol is someone I heard part of her lead and a while ago, and it was a great story. I'm really kind of interested to hear it again and pick her brains on where she is. Carol, it's Jeff from Sober Talk. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. I was telling people I remember hearing part of your story, I guess earlier this summer, and I can't remember the details, but I know it was pretty powerful. So just starting off, how long have you been sober, and what was your background as far as what led you to it and what led you out of it and all that good stuff?
Yeah. So, well, this last time, my current sobriety date is March of 2019.
Okay.
Yeah, 1920. I'm coming up on 3 years, so it's 2018. Yeah.
Congrats. That's fantastic. I'm coming up on a year, and I'm ready to just, for the final weeks, just lock myself in the basement and chain myself to the couch so I can't get out. I want to make sure I cross that finish line. But so what got you to that point, and what made you say that was the day?
Oh my goodness. So I was spiritually bankrupt. That is where that was my rock bottom. I had a couple of years prior to it, and all was well. And then one day I was walking down the street and was hit by a 2x4 is what it felt like. And before you knew it, my world was upside down. And, I was in a marriage where, it wasn't what it appeared to be. And, I went back out and stayed out for about a year.
Was it one event, and I don't need to know the specifics, but was it one event, or was it just they kind of all built up and then boom?
No, one big event.
Okay.
There was no lead up to this.
So were you not, looking back though, Carol, and I want to hear all the details, but I got to ask a question ahead of time because I'm worried about that so much. Were you not prepared for it? Were you not? Why did you get overblown, I guess, by when that happened?
Absolutely. So you hear a lot of talk about having reservations. And I remember when I first got sober, I did have a couple of reservations at first. And it was like, something ever happened to my kid, I'll probably drink.
Right.
If something happens to my marriage, I may or may not drink. And, it was my husband that, introduced me to AA and getting sober. And so, when this stuff came out of nowhere, the first thing I did was like, I got you, I'll show you, I'm going to just, throw my sobriety down the tube. So really, that was out of a resentment. And
I can see myself when that happening, having all the tools in my belt that I've prepared, who I'm going to call. I've got this, I'm going to do that. This is the list of things, the actions I'm going to take. And when it hits the fan, just saying, no, screw it. I don't want to. I don't want to call those people. I don't want to do anything. I want to just check out right now. And that scares the hell out of me because those days are going to happen.
Yeah, it does. Well, what I can tell you in hindsight, which that's always it, right? Always hindsight, is that when I first got sober, I didn't get sober for myself. I got sober to, you know, keep my husband happy. I got sober so I, wouldn't become a financial liability. And, and then I thought, it would be for me. And I mean, I was happily, sober and doing the deal and working my steps and this and that.
How long were you sober for before that happened?
2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 years. And, in hindsight, I don't advocate relapsing by any means, but at the same time, everything that happened, it happened exactly how it needed to be in the way, according to God's will. And so that I spent about a year going in and out, and I just could not, I just refused, to just let go and let God, like they say. And, I just got tired of being sick and tired. And I had to ask myself, like, Carol, you're willing to get sober for this, for that, do you not want to get sober for yourself? And I guess that was kind of the start of my journey of realizing that, I wasn't even sure if I wanted to be sober for myself. When everything's said and done and when the husband's not here and the kids are grown, is this something that I really want for myself, that I feel that I need? And I couldn't answer that right away. And so I had to do some sincere soul searching. And, what I found is that it wasn't pretty. And I realized that I guess I just didn't have as much self-worth as I thought I did, because it's easy to fit into life and fit yourself into life of being a mom and a wife and working and this and that, and in the midst of that, I think that I didn't know what my identity was when all that was taken away. I was staying sober to be those things, but I didn't know how to stay sober for myself in order to be those things, I guess, if that makes any sense. And so
it does. And this is why I love talking to people like you, because it helps me so much to figure myself out. But when I went in, the day that I went into rehab November 5th of 19. And then I had my relapse coming up on, it was last Super Bowl weekend, or last year, Super Bowl weekend. And that was the best thing that ever could happen to me. But when I went into rehab, I went in because my wife had said, I'm done with you. The kids had said, we're done with you. I was, it was not, I was doing it indirectly for other people. And you hear so many people say that that's kind of a dangerous way to go in, not doing it for yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I hear all the time, a lot of people say that that's what, finally brought them to getting sober. And then eventually they were doing it for themselves. Well, that's fine and dandy and that worked for them. But, the way it worked for me was that, some stuff had to hit the roof and I had to question everything. And what I realized is that I can't base my sobriety or my feelings on what's going on around me, what my relationships are like, is my kids doing what they're supposed to do? Because if I do that, then I am sure to fail every single time. And that's what I realized is that, I can't live my life contingent on relationships or what's going on in the world. Otherwise I'd be drunk every day, all day.
Did you,
and I had, go ahead.
Did you learn that after your 2-year relapse, or your relapse after 2 years? And what, I guess, what made you come to that realization? Did someone explain that to you? Did you just, how did you figure that out? I guess my thing is, how did you not repeat the same steps? Because or the same process. That's what scares me about myself.
Well, I mean, I think it started out with asking myself why I wasn't willing to get sober for myself. And I had to figure out why I didn't want to. You know, what was it that was holding me back, where I had no desire to do it for me. It was easier to do it for other people. And so I just had to, I did some sincere soul searching, and, thankfully I had a little bit of sobriety, and I knew what serenity and peace looked like. And I found myself at a fork in the road, and it was either I, continue to drink and just throw away everything that I've built up, or do I want to give in and take a leap of faith and trust God that He'll bring me through this process? And when I took that leap of faith, that's when, I things started to come much clearer for me. And I realized that it's about me and God, and everything else comes second. It's me, my sobriety, God, and everything else comes second. And I cannot afford to put anything before that, and nor can I have it contingent upon that, or else I'm just sure to fail. And it started with me asking myself if why, if this is why I couldn't do this, and is this something that I want to do for myself? So
I think I was fortunate because I came into this for someone else, but I was able to see how much I enjoyed and how much I loved sobriety. And I think the reason changed, and it was still for my family. Don't get me wrong. I didn't want to lose them. And I thank God daily that I held on to that. But I came into this for them, and I stepped my game up and kept it going because I loved how I felt about me. So I don't know if that's I just lucked into it or what. That's yeah. There's something, and we don't have 9 hours to even deal with this, but I know, because I'm an AA or myself, and I know that there's the higher power, God, all those things, but those are some heavy words for some people, and I am trying to figure out how to deal. There are people out there that aren't ready to make that commitment. And I know that there's the higher power. I talk in this, Carol, I don't think you've heard me say this, but my higher power is higher powers. And yes, I am a God-fearing man. I'm not going to deny that. That's what works for me. But also this show, I'm stronger right now because I'm sitting here talking to you. So technically this show and you are a higher power to me. The time I put in, whatever, getting ready, the things that I'm doing I'm stronger with them than I am by myself. So those are higher powers. So I kind of go with, I have higher powers, but I feel, there are people out there that really struggle with the spiritual aspect of this, or God, or however, I don't want to skirt the issue on that, but what's your advice? How do you run into that, or what are your thoughts there?
Well, when I got sober, I just and they started talking about this God stuff and a power higher than you. I was like, geez, like I don't think I'm ready to get saved again. That's what I felt like, especially doing the steps. And so, what took the pressure off for me was that, knowing that there's a difference between religion and spirituality. And that really was what, removed the boundaries for me and was able to kind of navigate for myself. And, that's what they talk about, is you just have to have a willingness, willing to believe in a power that's greater than yourself. And that's where it starts at. And, everybody's journey looks different. Their arrivals to what their higher power ends up being is different. And, I believe that it's ever changing as well, hopefully for the better. And so, for me, I wasn't religious growing up, but for some reason I just felt like I knew there was a God, there was a heaven and a hell, and I didn't want to go to it. And so, at a very young age, I mean, I was going to the altar asking to be saved, and then alcohol came along and booted that power out.
I've been there, done that. Yep.
Yeah. And so, come full circle, and it comes back to this again, and I'm just like, wow, I mean, does this mean I can't cuss? And what's God's will look like? I don't understand. If I knew what God's will looked like, I don't think I'd be here,
Yeah.
So I just really had to have an open mind.
I think I get caught up, and I know other people do, of, well, okay, but what does he look like? Is he a white guy? Is he a tall guy? Is he a short guy? In the pictures, he looks like a great, handsome. I don't care. That doesn't matter to me. The definition is not. I can worry about the definitions of God later. For me, it's just, do I believe that there's something more powerful out there than me? Well, yeah. If I honestly think I'm the most powerful thing on this little micro piece of sand in the world, I got some ego issues I got to deal with. So, I try not to just get caught up on the definition. So many people want a clear-cut, factual answer to that. And that's what trips me up, I think. I'll find out what it is at some day. I'm not worried about that yet. I'm just going to accept there is something and hope whatever that is helps me to stay sober and get better every day.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're hurting bad enough. I think that you'll figure out and find something to make it your higher power, something that's other than you. Once I was able to take those parameters off and looked at it from just a pure spiritual aspect, and not any religious involvement, I guess that's what, really kind of was able to get me going. And it's crazy because a few years now, a few years in or down the road, I mean, I went back to my Christian roots, and things make so much more sense than what they did back then when I was, trying to find God. And it was only because of having gotten sober, and doing a 12-step program.
So in addition, take that part out of the equation. I don't know if you heard the beginning. I had a buddy today that came to me with some tough news and that he's really struggling with. What are the tools today that what gets you when you have that, I don't know what you do for a living, but when the boss jumps down your back, or the deal falls through, or whatever the case may be, when it hits the fan, what are your tools to deal with that?
Yeah, I go back to the basics on how I got sober to begin with, and that was working with other alcoholics, doubling up on meetings, and really sitting down and having a heart-to-heart talk with God, and just really trying. For me, what I feel like in my mind, what I would do, I guess, or this is what I'm doing in my mind, is that I'm going into a room with no windows, no nothing. And I'm blocking out the world, and just trying to hone in on me and God and what the priorities need to be between me and God. And from there, I just work outward. I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, it does. I just, I love what you said about working with others, because that is, I think that is such a massive help for me, and I don't even know why it works, but when I'm, I've dabbled with jogging in earlier days, and when I would go out by myself jogging, it was very easy by myself to stop and walk, or to rest and put my hands on my knees. But when I was with another jogger pushing me along or keeping me going, I was a lot more likely to keep running and not quit as easy as if I was by myself, if that makes any sense.
Like an accountability partner.
An accountability. It just was it was accountability. It was motivation. It was, I don't want to quit because this person, I don't know, maybe they're going to say, you wimp, we've only gone 300 feet. How can you, whatever the case may be, I had a much better chance of continuing to keep running when I was with someone than by myself. And I think for me, I've said this before, people that are, I have a wife and kids. I've got, people that are looking at me all the time. Is dad drinking? Is dad drinking again? Is dad drinking? I've got that accountability. The person that is doing this on their own, that doesn't have that, boy, that is, my hat's off to them. That is, I don't know if I've got that strength. I don't know if I have it.
I am always in awe when I see people come in to get sober and they're not married, they don't have kids, because to me it's just like you are doing it for you, and I came in to do it for other people. And when I see people come in and it's not because they're trying to keep the spouse or the kids or, I just, my hat's off to you. Seriously. Yeah. I just really admire that.
I don't like looking at myself in the mirror and saying, you loser, but that's a lot easier than looking at my kids or my wife, or whoever, you have, having them look at you saying, why, Dad? What's the, that hurts a lot more than, when they look deep in your eyes and when they look deep in your eyes to see if you've been drinking. Oh, I can feel that panic. God, I know that one all too well, knowing that I'm in big trouble. My hat's off. Those people are a miracle. So, well, that's fantastic. I want to thank you for coming on. I'd love to keep you in the Rolodex and check back with you. We got a lot of problems to solve, and I can't do this myself by any stretch. It's why I'm here. I say it at the beginning. I don't have the answers, but collectively we do. With this group, there's not a thing that any one of us is facing that collectively we haven't been through together. And we can at least come close and help each other to figure the answers out. So, Carol, thanks so much for coming on, and hope to have you back again sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right. Have a great evening. Okay.
Yeah, Take care. Too. Bye. Mm-hmm.
So, Bree, looks like new to the group. Welcome. Love having you here. I think some people put in there about the private group, the Sober Talk Live group. Fantastic place to just throw questions, thoughts, comments, anything down. We got a good support group that's growing all the time. And I do encourage even the people that have been with this group for a while. We're all looking for advice. We're all looking for help getting through this. So if you got something that worked today that didn't work, throw it on there. Tell us what is working, tell us what's not, so we can all learn from it together. So I want to call another buddy. We actually had him on before, Nate, up in Cleveland, Ohio. He's probably struggling pretty bad today. So we want to make sure he's okay and talk him down off the ledge if we have to. We don't want to say anything to hurt his feelings, though, because he's probably pretty close to losing it. Nate?
Jeff?
Oh, hey, we were just talking about your Cleveland Browns last weekend. And there's a whole group on the show right now that they're all lining up, wanting to talk you down off the ledge and saying, "Please don't do it. You got a lot to live for. Hang in there."
Thank you. I really appreciate that. You've got some really kind listeners, I must say.
How was Jennifer just put up here? I wish I could get sober. I'm having a rough time, like a lot of us. I'm so angry, sad, mad, frustrated, depressed, etc. I really need a new way of living. So, what do you say to Jennifer? Because she's here, which is huge.
Absolutely.
What do you deal with a lot of people that are new in the program. How do someone that's trying to get started, that day one is a mother.
Oh my gosh, it absolutely is. Yes, yes, of course. I hate to sound cliche, but I have to go there in order to elaborate on what I think somebody in that position needs to do. And that cliche answer is one day at a time. You're not going to climb Mount Everest all in one day. You're not going to build Rome in one day. You're not going to get happy, joyous, free, completely sober, without temptation, and emotionally, spiritually, and physically fit all in one day. So you just need to bite off what you can chew at that moment, and just do what's in front of you. That's to me the biggest thing.
So Nate, I got a family that's ticked at me because I drink too much. Work is ticking me off. COVID's got me mad. And the only thing that sounds good to me tonight, I know I got to quit drinking. The only thing that sounds good to me tonight is to come home and open up the you-know-what and start drinking it away. How do I get, because I'm a momentum guy, and that day one is a bitch. What do you, I've got some ideas too, but you've been sober for how long?
April 16th, 2001.
Okay. So what help me get through tonight?
Jeff, I love the word that you used right there, and that's momentum. How do I get that momentum? You have to get the ball rolling in the right direction, and coming home, making sure, that you don't have anything at home, okay? You don't make any stop at the grocery store to pick anything up, or the convenience store. You come home, make sure you don't have anything in the house, and you stay active. I know we talk sometimes about cleaning house, but, maybe you clean your bathroom or something, or clean your basement, or take care of the dishes, or take care of a room, or something like that. You got to stay active. Not to mention, I'm talking about, just an activity to kind of get your brain off of thinking about those terrible things that might be tempting you.
Idle time kills me. Idle time, boredom, stagnation are killers for me.
You know what, Jeff, though? You're not you're just like other people too, though. That's terrible for anybody, really. And I know you, and I know how terrible that is for you, but that's anybody trapped in their own head. Their brain is going to just constantly tell them terrible thoughts. I mean, you're behind enemy lines when you're in your own head, right? I've heard that very often.
Yep.
So you got to reach out to some people, some of your support group. That could even be your mother or father or brother or something like that, and just telling them what's going on. And maybe they have a couple of good thoughts or answers for you. And then, like I said, you get active, making yourself dinner, taking care of a few things maybe you've got to do for work or something, and you stay a little bit active and kind of keep your mind away from it for a little bit.
I think for someone like she was saying, if you're fortunate enough to have a friend or someone that you know or comfortable with that is sober, it doesn't have to be a recovering alcoholic for me. It can be just someone that isn't going to take me the wrong way. I just to say, you know what? I need you to come over and just chat with me tonight and watch TV, because I got to get through the next couple hours, and having someone with you. Nate works for the same company I do. He's up in Cleveland. I'm down in Cincinnati. But when I first got when I got sober, I had my relapse over Super Bowl weekend last year. And it was because my wife went out of town and I had the free time. And I learned now, looking back, I relapsed well before the first beer ever touched my lips, looking back. But when I got through that weekend and got myself refocused, I had to go up to Cleveland for some training. Well, they set you up in a hotel, and the place up in where the hotel we're at is right across from a gas station that's got that flashing Bud Light banner going in the window. Mm-hmm. And I called. I knew Nate had some sobriety. And I don't know if you remember, Nate, but I called you and I said, hey, and he knew I'd been, was freshly sober. And I said, I'll be up Monday through, I go back Wednesday. I said, what are we doing Monday night and what are we doing Tuesday night? And that was before I even hit the road to come up there, because for me, if I tried to make that decision to call you when I was sitting in the hotel, if I had to try and decide, am I going to drink tonight or not, when I'm sitting in the hotel room with no accountability by myself, I'd lie. I would have told you, oh, I left my phone on silent mode. I didn't see you calling 38 times. I just didn't notice it. I would have been, then I gotta preempt. Preemptive is my word for that. I gotta do it ahead of time before I have a chance. So you got me through that. I mean, it was a boring couple of days, I'll tell you that much, but I didn't drink. So if I have to look at one more of your friggin' photo albums or your yearbook one more time.
Hey, Jeff, it kept you sober, man. It was just all about distracting you to stop, so we didn't think about alcohol.
No, you're right. You're so right, though.
But Jeff, I mean, that's what you do in those moments to get through to the next day, to the next thing, but you're absolutely right. You got to come up with a plan for the days moving forward. So you make it through that one day. Well, what are you going to do now tonight? And, whether it be AA, you should get some kind of support. If you've got some AA background, wonderful. Absolutely. Go to an AA meeting, call some people from AA, talk to some people there. If it's maybe a psychologist, a counselor, somebody, to help you, there's all sorts of treatments out there. And maybe even furthermore, you need to go into some kind of inpatient program or a halfway house or something along those lines. But you have to move forward in that right direction to getting help.
Yeah, the rehab facility for me was key. It was accountability. I couldn't get to alcohol, and it actually made it easier knowing that I didn't have that option. But they also they gave me, I don't even know what it was, but they make sure you come down easy so that you don't go through the DTs and whatnot. They make it comfortable for you, which is a lot easier to focus and get, because those first couple days I want, working on why I drank is key for me. Working on why I drank that first night, I don't give a rat's butt about why I drank and my childhood trauma or whatever. I don't care at that point. I got to get through the next 4 hours, and all I want to do is go drain the gas station of every beer they have in the place. So I'll worry about the issues later. I got to just survive tonight. And that's what I think, rehab for me, and they're accessible too, I think is just key. But I also, you said this, and we're not, I did AA, I know you're an AA, but I'm not pushing any program. I just want people to find what works for them. My program and your program, it's crazy to say they'd be identical. You got to find what works for you. But I needed the structure of a program. When I hear people say, oh, this weekend I'm going to try and do it. I'm going to try this weekend. I hope this weekend's going to be better. Last weekend was rough. I drank, but I think I can do it this weekend. I think this is going to be the one. What's your plan? How are you going to do it? Hoping for me has never accomplished, well, maybe a few things, but you know what I'm saying. Hoping that I don't isn't going to do it for me. I got to have an instruction manual and follow it.
Jeff, I love everything you said right there. And I hope anybody listening out there, I hope that the message that is getting across here is, don't try to do this alone. This is a terrible, terrible disease. And so much of it is your brain telling you you're not good enough and that your only option is to drink. And you need some kind of outside help like that. And you know what? I'm AA, and I love what you said right there, Jeff, because we do not have a monopoly on how to get sober. If you find another way that works for you, if AA doesn't, God bless you, whatever it takes.
Yep.
But I just feel like it, I sincerely believe it's going to take more than just you trying to find the willpower and wherewithal within yourself to do it every day, day in and day out. You need some kind of structural program around you, whether that be from AA or a counselor or an inpatient rehab or something like that.
Jennifer just put in the thing. I live with my boyfriend, and he's an alcoholic who is in denial. Makes it harder. And this is my point about this group. I don't have the answer there. That is where we, as a group, this is where the comments need to come in the chat and on the website, because someone out there, we can together talking about this, just like you're saying, Nate, about doing this with someone, we can come up with a plan to handle that. If that was me, I don't have the answer to that one. That's a very tough one. But you know what? We can, if we all work together and bounce ideas off each other, we can come up with a good plan to survive, and each day will get better.
And each day will get better. Again, I hate to sound cliche, but it's day by day. At some point, there's going to come a time, there's going to come that fork in the road where you're not going to be able to put up with the alcoholic in your life anymore, and you're going to make a decision to either leave him, or he's going to make a decision to eventually, maybe get sober, get help, get better, and then you can move forward with living together still. Yeah, but at some point, there's going to come that time. There just is. But you take it day by day, and we work with each other to try to find the right answer every day to make whatever the right answer is overall happen.
I had burned all those bridges with the family. It was there were no more, okay, we'll, try it again. We'll give you one more. It was, we're done. Yep. You either fix it or take care. We'll see ya. And I don't blame them one bit.
They got to that point. They got to that point with you.
Yep. And it's what I needed because my lies, you know what? You're right. But you know what? The game is this weekend. There's 2 great games on Sunday. And you know what? Monday, you're right, dear. Monday, I am done. You got it. Well, yeah. And
you're always going to draw that line in the sand and then erase it and draw it again. There's always going to be that. Yep. Of course.
Well, look, Nate, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much. And again, I'm sorry about your Browns. It was a fantastic year. I mean, they got hey, come live in Cincinnati. You want to feel, if there's a town that's justified, to have a relapse, that's Cincinnati. We are, it's tough.
It's pretty tough, Jeff, I got to admit, but it's good to have sports sometimes. They're a good distraction too.
I think when that, just to bore everyone, when that guy took the hit going into the end zone right before halftime, 4-hour drive, I still heard you through the cracked window down here screaming.
Yes, you did. Exactly.
All right. Hey, Nate, thanks so much. We'll check back with you, but greatly appreciate the input, buddy. Take care.
Absolutely, Jeff. God bless.
All right. See ya. Thanks. That was Nate up in Cleveland. A lot of energy. He's got a lot of smarts, so I'm glad to have him here. I got one other a new guy that I want to give a buzz to. Oh, first, I want to mention our sponsor. Tonight's show is brought to you by Kentucky's Best Hemp. They're a huge support for us, so please support them next time you buy CBD. I actually just got it's the full spectrum CBD oil, and I just started this 2 or 3 days ago. Just got this in, so don't have any feedback yet, but I got that. And if you do call, sorry, dear. So you guys are more important than family right now. I just blew off my daughter. But if you do get on the Kentucky's Best Hemp, KYSBestHemp.com. If you put in Tom30 on at checkout in the promo for the promo code, you'll save 30% off your purchase. So I want to give a new caller, check in and see how this person is doing. I think he's down in maybe Texas. I'm not sure. New to the show. Todd.
Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Jeff with Sober Talk Live. Great to have you. So
How are you?
where is 402 area code? Where am I calling?
Omaha, Nebraska.
Oh, okay. Well, I was close. Not, I was thinking Texas. So
Well, it's just up the ways a little bit.
that Nebraska, driving back and forth from California in college, Nebraska is one long, boring state to drive through.
Yes, it is. I have done that drive many times, and there's not much excitement to it.
No, I-80, you could put the cruise control on, lock the steering wheel, and take a nap, and wake up 8 hours later and still in the middle of nowhere. But anyways, hey, great to have you on the show. Just what's your story? Are you what's your sobriety looking like these days?
So I feel like it's in a good place right now. I'm really happy with it. I'm 15 months sober as of yesterday, actually.
Congratulations! I'm coming up on a year next in a couple weeks.
Oh man, good for you. That is really exciting to me because that year mark was a big deal for me. And I felt like, I don't know if it was just a milestone, but for whatever reason, that was right around when I felt like everything kind of just fell into place for me, and I started to see things clearly, and I really embraced all of this, and started to I felt like I made it through the other side.
What the one thing I scare myself with the dates, of having a year, because I think if I set a goal of I'm going to make it a year, I'm going to make it a week. For me, hey, I got to that week. Now I'm done, and now it marks a completion thing. And for me, sobriety is far from completion. So I agree with you, and 1 year is going to be a big, a nice thing. But it scares me at the same time because I don't want to think of it as a completion. I hope I'm just thinking of it as it's another day, and I got to get through that day.
It's funny you say that because before this last time I quit, I had never seriously tried to give up alcohol, but I had two 3-month sabbaticals that I had taken, and the first one was 6 years ago. And at the time,
what was the circumstances?
So that was 2013 was the first time I did it. And the impetus for it at the time was I noticed that it was starting to affect my marriage. And I had enough sense to, at least at the time, think, okay, if this keeps going, this is going to balloon into something really bad. Right now it's bad, but it's not horrible, but it's going to get worse. And by that I didn't really mean my drinking, even though that was true. What I was thinking was the issue with my wife. And
was the issue that it was primarily your drinking, though?
Yeah, and it wasn't. I wasn't like an everyday drinker. My problem was I would get really drunk too often. Way too often, I was the drunkest one in the room. And when people would have 3 drinks, I would have 7. And
they say that it's not, it's not how much you drink, it's what happens to you when you drink. Luckily, for me, I nailed both of those. I had the how often you drink and how much you drink. I graduated magna cum laude in both of those categories.
Yeah, that's good for you.
What did you? Alcohol is alcohol, but were you beer, hard stuff, wine? What was your?
A lot of beer. I really loved beer. I like IPAs. You'll get a kick out of this. One of my attempts at moderating was, I just got to stop drinking IPAs because they have so much alcohol in it.
Exactly. That's you're gilded now. No problem.
I mean, it's that simple. That's all I got to do. But I also love gin and tonic. And I don't know if I ever had a single drinking experience with gin and tonic that turned out well, but I loved them. And but it was mostly beer. and it was just, it was, I'd wake up in the morning and I would know within 2 seconds of my wife waking up whether or not she was pissed about my drinking the night before.
Oh, you can, yeah. I can.
Oh,
you just,
God,
you can tell.
Yeah,
I tried to sneak out and go. I remember setting my alarm clock for much early because of the important sales calls I had to go to at 5:30 just to get out of the house, so I didn't have to face her after,
yeah.
Oh, it was awful.
Yeah, it is. It's exhausting, and it takes its toll. And so I thought I got to do something about this. At the time in 2013, quitting was like not even in my universe. Because I didn't need to quit, I just needed to fix it, right? And so I went to my therapist and I was like, alcohol's causing problems. I got to do something about it. She was the one that gave me the idea for a 3-month break. And when she first suggested it, it was like she was asking me to run into a burning building. I was like, "You want me to do what?" I was like,
yep.
What? How? Why? 3 months? Oh my God! And so that was the first time. And I'm just like you. Once I committed to it, I knew it was 3 months. I had that 90th day etched in my brain.
It's like that thing at Christmas time where you open the little door on 21 days till Christmas, 22, whatever, until that magical 90 when you can open it up and there's the mother load of beer.
Exactly. And I knew when that was, and I kept looking at that date as, okay, we just got to get there. And when I set a goal, I'm pretty good at. That's kind of how I work. I need to set a goal and then I go do it. And then so it was hard doing that 3 months, but the idea of quitting was not even did not even enter my mind. And so I just had to get through that 3 months. And so I did that one other time a couple years later. And then this last time, 15 months ago, to your point about, setting a date, I committed in my head to another 3 months, but in the back of my mind, because of where I had gotten to, I knew something was different, even though I wasn't ready to admit it at the time. But I knew, I'm like, I'm gonna go longer than 3 months, aren't I? But I still had a hard time. I had a hard time even going there for a while. I knew I needed a break, and I was a little hesitant to set like, okay, this time I'm going to do 4 months. This time I'm going to do 5 months, for kind of the reasons you mentioned. So I tried to basically just let things fall where they fell. And at some point between day one and like the 3 months, I don't remember exactly where it was, or when it was, but I remember where I was. I remember where I was standing. I was in the kitchen. And my wife was to the right of me sitting down, and I said out loud for the very first time, I think I need to give up alcohol for good. And I was like, did I just say that out loud?
Hoping that maybe that regret, hopefully she didn't hear it.
Wait, did you hear that? Yeah. And once I did, because I knew. Yeah. I knew once I uttered those words.
Yeah.
There's no going back.
But it's that quick. Get it out now. If I'm having the strength, say it, so I can, because I might not have the strength to say it again.
Yeah. And it felt really good. It felt like I was letting a secret off my chest. You know how when you're little and you've told a lie, or even when you're an adult.
Yeah. I don't have to go back that far.
and you fess up to it.
Yeah.
It's part of you feels really good doing that.
Yep.
And that's how it was when I said those words out loud. Because it was just the kind of final public, even though it was just to my wife, acknowledgement of, yes, this is what you need to do. And it took a long time to get there, but man, it felt good when it came out.
Yeah, mine was I wrote something this morning about taking responsibility, and the morning that I had found a place the day before Didn't want to tell her that night, probably because I was still drinking and I didn't want to have to talk to her. And, so I waited till the morning. But I just said, hey, I'm going into rehab. I'm checking myself in. And that was, it was the first time I took responsibility for me. And because everything I blamed my drinking was because of the buttheads at work. And the only reason they were buttheads was because I wasn't doing my job, because I blamed it on my wife for nagging me. Well, the only reason she nagged me is because I was sneaking around, hiding beer all the time, and not being a good husband or father. All the different things were everyone else's fault. But that morning when I told her, and I think the final, she said, "I'll give you a ride in." I said, "You know what? No, this is on me. It's time for Jeff to do this." So I drove myself in that morning. And because it was like, you know what? I finally got it out. And then once it was out, like you said, then it was, okay, if I just went through all the hell of announcing this, I'm going to take the credit for fixing this thing. As much as, I'm going to take the responsibility. Right? I'm going to take the responsibility for fixing this thing. But I'm also going to, I guess, take the credit because I needed to build myself back up. I don't know. But I wasn't going to have anyone... I didn't want. I had people carry me enough. I needed that good feeling of finally doing it myself for once.
Well, and I had a similar feeling in that I didn't have. I always say I didn't have a spectacular flame out rock bottom like some people do, but I probably had 50 little to medium rock bottoms that should have been the last straw. And part of the reason why it took me as long as it did to get to the point where I said enough was I was waiting for that spectacular flame out rock bottom. Cause I thought, well, if I crash my car, that's going to make me
God, isn't that sad, but so true.
Oh my God. And then one day in the course of this, from day 1 to 3 months, I had this realization and I thought, why are you waiting for something like this to happen? You are in control of this if you want to be, or you are in control of stopping, of deciding that you're going to stop. And it sounds so simple and it sounds so logical now, but man, we tell ourselves anything and everything to avoid realizing and accepting that we need, at the end of the day, at some point, if we want to make a change, we have to take responsibility for it. I was waiting for something. I was waiting for someone to do it for me. I was waiting for someone to shake me and say, you need to make a change. And then one day I was like, why am I waiting?
Yeah,
why
I think
am I waiting for that?
Every time she busted me, as much as I didn't want it to happen, it almost was a positive because I knew it was getting me closer to having to get this friggin' crap over with and dealt with. It was as weird as that sounds. It was, I was almost, like you said, not wanting to hit bottom, but just waiting for the relief of not fighting of being done fighting myself, I guess. I don't know. It was,
it's a very perverse, like I would actually have I don't know how consciously I was doing this, but the nights where I said, screw it, I'm going to get really drunk and I'm not going to worry about, I'm just not going, so much work for me to control and moderate my drinking. And so there were nights where I just said, screw it. And like part of what it went into my thinking was, well, the silver lining here is if I get really drunk again and piss my wife off again and we get in a fight about it again, maybe that will finally, push me down far enough where I'm like, enough. Like that's so weird when I say it out loud and try to explain it. But
no,
that was part of my thought process.
Nothing makes sense at that point. It was, and you're talking about, okay, I'm done. I got to get this thing over with. I felt the same thing, but for me, it was, and Monday morning I'm gonna stop. I always added that thing, and it's so good to know that I finally decided I am done drinking. God, what a relief. It's over. And after this weekend, because there's some great football games on, Todd. I mean, some great, I can't wait. But Monday morning, I'm ready. Thank God. Yeah.
Oh, I remember one weekend I was just going to go the weekend without drinking. Cause I was tired of feeling tired and groggy come Monday morning, and just felt like I needed another day to recover from the weekend. And I'm a big Iowa fan. Iowa had a game that week. It was a big game. They won. Literally, the game had been over probably less than a half hour, and I talked myself into drinking that day because Iowa won. I mean, it could be like, oh, look, the sun's out.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have a beer. I'll have a beer after all.
Yeah.
It was so easy to talk myself into. I'll start Monday.
My wife. I shouldn't even say this because she's probably listening. But the nights that we would fight, and it was like, you know what, Jeff, just go sleep in the basement. You know what? Fine. And I was thrilled by that. It was like, cool. I get to go downstairs. She's already pissed. I can't get it. I'm already in the tank of despair.
Yeah.
Now I can sit down there and watch Carol Burnett's show and Hogan's Heroes for a couple hours and drink more beer. She's not going to come down here. She doesn't want to talk to me, so I don't have to worry about getting caught anymore. It's already crazy. Honey, I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry. Yeah. God.
You know how many times I sat in my basement or wherever, depending on where we're living, at night, wondering if either my wife or whoever was upstairs could hear me opening another beer.
Yep. It was just I'll grab, this was on my over the Diet Pepsi. You can open it, I'm doing it with a towel over the thing. I could open cans with the no one would hear. Yep.
Oh man.
God, it's so true.
The stuff, the things we do and the things we tell ourselves. I mean, obviously you don't realize it in the moment, but when you get some clarity and some space between that,
you can't see this, but now I just have to worry about her catching me eating my Fluffernutter sandwich. Before I go to bed. Hey, Todd, great call. Thank you. I'd love to pick this up again.
You bet.
I think there's a lot to talk about with this group, and I think every day we just need a little bit. It's
that's right.
What Nate was talking about earlier about, I don't know if you heard this, but running the whole Hogan's Heroes, Carol Burnett. Yes, Kathleen, those are quality shows. Green Acres comes on in 28 minutes, and I will be glued for that one. But anyways, trying to do everything at one time, and I tried to fix all my issues tomorrow. I can't do it. There's no way. But if I'm 1% better tomorrow than I am today, that's simple, that's attainable, and that's easy. But, technically in 100 days, I'm 100% better than I am today. That's I got just small baby steps to get this thing done. So,
that's a win. That's a win. Anytime
oh, God.
You can do that.
As long as the arrow is pointing in that direction, I don't care how small it is. If it's just in the right direction, I'm heading where I need to go, and I'll take it. So, hey, Todd, thanks so much. We will definitely
Jeff,
talk some more. And
all right.
Have a great night. And if you're in the Louisville area and you're bored on tomorrow night and Saturday night, check out Tom. I'm going to try and get down there Saturday night myself with some lettuce and tomatoes and do some heckling. So hopefully you guys, anyone's down there, let's all get together or something. Make fun of them. All right. Thanks, everyone. And I will be on tomorrow night. I'm hoping we're going to be able to talk about dealing with a loved one that is try to get or needs to get sober, how to approach them, what's involved. If you're willing to make that first step, but you're scared to do so, what's involved with that, what you can expect. So hopefully we'll have a good show tomorrow night. And thanks everyone for coming on. Take care.